Recently, this journalist from the University of Wyoming posted on his Twitter about he requested information from EA Sports and finally got a response after 2 months. And in this, it contains a lot of crucial information that leads us to our predictions for College Football 25, and it really delves into what they are taking from these universities. Now, using the knowledge I gained from reading these posts, I have a huge prediction for the Road to Glory mode, but I'm going to say it at the end, so make sure you stick around for that. Now, getting into page 1, you can see that it's a picture of this statue, and he says, University of Washington submitted the Steamboat Bucking Horse statue, along with the tradition of all the players touching it before walking out at War Memorial Stadium. So I do think this means that every trophy basically will be in the game, every statue at the stadiums, because if they're including Wyoming's, then they're going to include the rest of them, because no offense to Wyoming, but as you know, they're not really the highest of football programs. He also says that there will be an animation of them walking out and touching it, which means that once again, almost all the traditions that people have where, you're touching things like at Virginia Tech or Georgia will most likely be in the game if they're doing it for Wyoming. He then says, University of Wyoming also submitted Ragtime Cowboy Joe, Fight Wyoming Will Fight, and In Heaven There Is No Beer for consideration for in-game music. And this sounds good, but there's also a side effect, which means this file size will be astronomical, and you probably already realize that, but the amount of depth that they're going into comes with a cost, and that's file size. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 150, 200 gigabytes, maybe even 250. We'll see, but I definitely think it'll be a huge game. I also don't know what he means by in-game music. I don't know if that means like fight songs by the band during the game, because those have already been confirmed, or that means like, menu music or something with the Dynasty. If you use, Wyoming, it'll play these songs. So I'm unsure about that side of it. That's page 1 done, but page 2 is where it starts to get really interesting. However, the first point isn't that big. It really says there will be rivalry trophies for every single rivalry in Division I football. They even have Hawaii and Utah State. They'll have every single Power 5, if not every single FBS rivalry trophy in the game, which isn't that big of a deal. We kind of already knew that was happening. The next post, he says, University of Washington was asked to submit headshots for players who have or will opt into the game, and then, in quotes, to accurately depict the student athletes who opt into the game, our team expects to create more human likenesses at one time than has ever been attempted in video game history. Which, looking into it, makes sense, because obviously they can't face scan everyone. They can face scan the most prestigious players, but it's not Madden. There's more than 1,000 players in the league. There's about 11,000 across D1, and obviously it would take way too many resources to go to every single college and face scan. So the best choice they have is to just take pictures of every player's face, and then they can try to copy it into their game, and that's kind of what I expected. Obviously, they can't have face scans for every single one of the 11,000 players in the game. If we assume that they sent this about now, then that means that they have a lot of work to do, because they still have to get face scans from a lot more people, and maybe they already have the game completely done, and now it's just a housekeeping and getting face scans and getting pictures of players and likenesses into the game. But if it's not, then they really have to hurry, and no one wants an unfinished game in July either. Finally, the last point on this page is basically the reason why I made this video. Alex Taylor says, EA also requested photos of University of Wyoming's campus, stadium, cheerleaders, equipments, uniforms, locker rooms, and mascot imagery, as well as historical photos of past and present players. The first thing that immediately catches my attention is the inclusion of the word campus, and especially for University of Wyoming. And the simple answer, this one that does not play into my theory I'm going to tell you in a couple minutes, is that they need the campus for aerial shots just to have different buildings placed around, but that's boring. Another thing that I thought was really interesting was the inclusion of locker room pictures, and I do not know why they would need those, because I remember in past games they did not have, rendered locker rooms, let alone pictures of locker rooms. So that means they're probably going to have to do something with locker rooms. The other four make a lot of sense. Stadium, cheerleaders, uniforms, and mascots are obviously going to be in the game. It's just the campus and locker rooms that kind of trip me up. And it leads me to my 3 right now. I'm going to tell you, I truly believe that Road to Glory will be an open world, kind of like 2K My Career, where you can go to your dorm, to training, to the stadium, anywhere you want on campus. And that would explain why you need the pictures of the campus. And I really think they're going to try to do this just to get people's attention and make people think that they actually care about the game and care about how people think of it. And that also makes sense why there are pictures of locker rooms, because obviously if it's an open world, you need to be able to walk into the locker rooms. And I'm kind of rambling, but you could also have talking to your players and building player dynamics through actual conversations where you can choose what to say, and even with coaches and stuff like that. Maybe you can walk to the coach's office or walk to the teacher. You know, you've had to balance your grades in past games, so I couldn't see why they couldn't do that now, just with a 3D world. And I think that would blow people away and make them instantly love Road to Glory. I know I compared it to NCAA 14 a lot, but it can't really be the same game. Some people say that, but they don't mean it. They want new stuff just as much as I do, and you can't copy and paste Road to Glory. You have to add something big that'll catch people's attention, and I think a 3D open world will do exactly that. You could even have money implemented and use that NIL money to buy different things for your character, upgrade its apartment, or whatever you want to do. With that said though, that's gonna wrap it up for today's video. I really wanted to go over this dude's post. Thank you, Alex Taylor, for getting this information, because this actually does help, and I hope you are as excited as I am about this upcoming game and the stuff we learned just now. So if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.